And that was just a little reminder for them to place an order that could get there in time so that they're going to be able to be fully stocked when it came. These are ideas that our salespeople didn't come up with the idea of the weather report, but they shared the complaint. They shared the frustration. And we were able to take that information and act on it.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Tell us a little bit more about your company that you having, and what is the biggest challenge that you had growing that company,
Yeah,
and how you overcome that challenge.
sure. So for the last 6 years, I've been a business and life coach working with entrepreneurs. But the business where I learned everything I know about entrepreneurship was a company called Kedorable, fun, practical, unique children's accessories. If you've ever seen umbrellas or rain boots that look like frogs and ladybugs and stuff like that, that we distributors all over the world, UK, Spain,
Wow.
Mexico, everywhere. And we built our company on small, independent mom and pop shops. And that was great when we got started in the 90s. We would travel all over the world. We
In
traveled to
the
trade shows
90s? In the
in the
90s,
90s.
you started this?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Started in
Wow. When
1997.
nobody was doing, very few people was doing. In the 90s, I heard that people in China, they were riding bicycle.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there were a
Yeah.
million more people on bikes than. So, well, I'll get to the entrepreneurial story in a second. But I went to China in 1994, and I was living in a city of 8 million people. And in November, I went to get a like a long-term residency stamp on my passport. It was stamp number 22. There were 22 foreign residents in the city of 8 million people, and
Wow. Wow.
they must have all been Korean or Japanese because I didn't see any white faces the whole time I was there unless they were in a tour bus. But like I said, we'd visit trade shows, we'd sign up some customers, but more importantly than getting customers, these independent retailers, we would sign up sales reps who would go, independent sales reps who would go and then build the business for us. And the company grew exponentially. The first year we had $40,000 in sales, zero profit. The second year we had $400,000 in sales, $100,000 profit. The year after that it was, $1.4 million in sales, $400,000 profit. It kept growing.
Oh, wow.
And until 2009, the Great Recession, and it was also the rise of e-commerce. When we started our business, almost no one had even heard of Amazon. You know,
Absolutely no competition. You have
email
most
was
of the
barely even
market
a
for
thing.
you.
And with the Great Recession, it laid bare seismic changes in the market. The small independent retailers that we built our business on, they've been slowly going out of business for 30 years. But with the rise of Amazon and e-commerce and even just big box stores like, Target and Macy's, um, and then with the Great Recession, they were going out of business left and right. And a week didn't go by where we would get a letter from a retailer saying, like, we regret to inform you that this is our 42nd and last year in business. It was just happening all the time. And it became really clear to us that we weren't able to in a business that was built on independent mom and pop stores. There just weren't enough of them anymore. But they had gotten us to where we were. We were loyal to them. And they wanted us to be loyal to them. Like they feared e-commerce. And they would say, if you sell on Amazon, we're not going to carry your product. We would try to protect them. Like we wouldn't sell to more than one retailer in the same zip code. And we built this business around protecting a dying part of the industry. And the biggest challenge, and it took us 2 years longer to figure out than it should have been. I listened to an interview with Bill Ford. He was the CEO of Ford Motor Company. And Ford was an early investor in Zipcar, a ride sharing, car sharing company. And the interviewer asked him, like, why are you investing in ride sharing? Like, isn't that going to cannibalize your business for new cars? And Bill Ford said, it's happening whether we like it or not, so we may as well like it. And I heard that, and I'm like, oh my God, like the internet's happening whether we like it or not. We may as well like it. And then within a few months, we started selling to Amazon and as many online retailers as we could. We, tried to do justice to our long-term customers, giving them priority shipping and better pricing and tools to sell and to compete. But we just realized we can't protect them from the world. And, for businesses now that are looking at the onslaught of AI and what that's doing to their customers and to their business and are trying to stop it, good luck with that. It's happening whether you like it or not. So you may as well like it.
Yeah, the Jonathan and I, let's expand in this room because like I said, I was listening a documentary about the founder of Walmart, and they told him, "Look, your fault that these small businesses disappeared in the United States. You are responsible." And his answer was like, "Well, is the market? It's not my
Yeah.
fault. It's the client fault. Clients
Yeah.
decided to go to my solution." So the point that he's making is whether you like it or not, if it was not me, it's gonna be somebody else. But whoever come with that solution, the market will prefer the solution. Therefore, it's not my fault. It's the consumer,
You
right?
can't protect people from what's happening in the world. There's an old story. I don't think it's
Mhm.
true, but there's an old story that in the 70s, when we talked about China, in the 70s, an economist went to China and he sees hundreds of workers working with shovels building a road. And he asks the governor, why are they using shovels? Why don't you use a bulldozer? Just so much more efficient. And the governor is said to have responded, well, if we got a bulldozer, like all those people would be out of work. And the economist said, well, if the goal is to put people in work, why don't you take away their shovels and give them spoons? It's like these changes are happening. And if you protect someone from it, all it means stay poor and they're eventually going to go out of business.
So
Or you could adapt.
the
Yeah.
consumer, yeah. And Jonathan, this is my next question, and it comes to respond to change, right? We have seen big companies like go out of business, I don't
Yeah.
know, Blockbuster or
Sure.
Kodak,
Yeah.
just because, or respond to change, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes big companies, the structure that they have is like a big boat, it's like a big Titanic, right?
Yeah.
So it's so big, so heavy that when you want to turn right, it's so slowly at the
Yeah.
speed that you're going that you eventually will hit the iceberg. Whether you have other company models, like they operate like 3,000-liter boats, and then the
Yeah.
CEO is in 1-liter boat on the front, and then he said, turn right, and then the whole 3,000 boats, which turn right faster. So, and even you have experienced this in your business. I have to experience actually, in fact, in my business, we have, imagine, I was doing rent to rent, renting the rooms, houses, and renting the rooms individually, right? And imagine, it was 20 years ago. It was no Airbnb. It was no, all what that we have is Blackberries, right? Our
Yeah.
competitive technology advantage was that the team had Blackberry,
Yeah.
receive the email faster than anybody else. So by the
Yeah.
time that our competitor respond that email, we already rented a room because we have those Blackberries and deliver the email faster.
Yeah.
Deliver the email faster, we respond faster, we book the room, we do a transition. So then when our competitors actually open the email and we reply to our clients, we have a room available, we already
Yeah.
gone through the whole process, right? And sometimes the change is so big that you need to de-escalate. It's actually what we did in our business. The industry changed so in the last 15 years that
Yeah.
we finally couldn't compete at this stage because laws of regulations and so on. So we had to de-escalate and little by little give it back, right?
Yeah.
And start to do so. What do you think in terms of responding to change? Sometimes you can change fast and keep adapted. But sometimes the change is so big that you have to repurpose the whole thing, the whole business model, the whole thing, and you have to take
Yeah.
what you learn. And again, what you said is sometimes it seems unfair. The market is heading one direction that if you don't cope with it, you're gonna be out of business. So tell us about
Yeah.
respond to change, how you face this, and with the people that you coaching, right? How can you
Sure.
help them in that sense also in that area,
Yeah.
which is things can be what people don't know about business is that everything can go very well for so many years. And then the technology happens, COVID happens, anything happens, and you can go to zero very, very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So the answer is that as the CEO, you're probably the last to know. It's the people who are in the front lines, your customer service reps, your salespeople, the people who are actually talking with customers. They're the ones who are seeing what's going on. They might not understand what's going on. They might not understand the trends, but they're the one who have the data. So if you're in your corner office and you're just, on your computer all day, you're never going to see it. So in our company, I love meetings. Meetings are problems are solved. Meetings are where I get to help people accomplish their goals. It's where they come in frustrated and confused. They leave with clarity and inspiration. Great meetings are not something like away from their work. Great meetings are the heart of what people do. And I would, we topped out at I led a daily customer service training meeting. I led our weekly sales training meetings. And every one of those meetings would start with two questions. Tell me your success stories and tell me your frustrations. Now, telling your success stories, that serves several purposes. One, it was just an opportunity for me to praise people. Like they were telling me they were telling me how to say they did a great job. But whenever I noticed that someone innovated, that they did something interesting, I would say like, hey, here, are you doing that too? Like everybody should be doing that. It's a fantastic idea. And we would spread the best practices throughout the organization. Frustrations, though, that's where the real action was. And there's three kinds of frustrations. Some are it's just bad we could do. I wanted to have a picnic, but it's raining outside. Okay, nothing we could do about that one. But I'd rather they complain to me than they complain in our halls and destroyed our culture. The next kind of frustration is they just don't know how to do something. And that's easy. Just like, here's the password, here's where that information's done, like, here's the process. My favorite kind of frustration is when there's some sort of friction within the system. That, classic example, salespeople are frustrated with the office administration because they're taking too long to ship orders. And in our company, salespeople, they would take an order, they give it to, they give it to our office, and it'd be incomplete. It wouldn't have all the information. So our office people had to spend, a week sometimes, 2 weeks tracking down the customer who the salesperson just got off the phone with to find, whatever the information so we could run a credit report. And so we just got everyone in a room and said like, okay, we designed the system so a salesperson can't deliver an order until all the information's there, and then we could ship same day. But your frontline people, they're hearing what's going on, hearing about product that's not moving. They're hearing about competitors. They're hearing about the frustrations. They're hearing that it's just slow out there and people aren't walking into stores. And that's where we get some of our best ideas. So Kedorable's my old company's main product was rainwear. And customers would complain that they had too much stock. That's what all retailers are afraid of, that they have too much stock, they're not going to be able to sell at the end of the season. And then they complain that it's raining and now they don't have enough stock. So that's something we heard from our salespeople. I wouldn't have necessarily thought about that. And we started sending automated weather reports to all of our customers. It's scheduled to rain in a week. Do you have enough stock? And that was just a little reminder for them to place an order that could get there in time so that they're going to be able to be fully stocked when it came. These are ideas that our salespeople didn't come up with the idea of the weather report, but they shared the complaint. They shared the frustration. And we were able to take that information and act on it.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.